may not come when you want him, but he always on time.
Sure. All right. All right. Well, that's great. Also, Ms. Ingram has done a yeoman's job in chasing down these grant administrative positions. It looks like we've got really one comparable, and that's Burke County, and that's extremely well written. I mean, we could almost duplicate that one. Yeah.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's Board of County Commissioners meeting. I want to welcome everyone in attendance tonight and also the ones watching on the live stream. We're going to start tonight with our invocation led by Pastor Michael McLeod.
Let's go to God in prayer. I'm going to drop some scripture before I go into prayer. Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love thy Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy might. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Again, God, we thank you, we thank you, we thank you, we thank you, we thank you. We thank you for another opportunity to just thank you. God, I ask that we live the great commandments, that we love you. And if we love you, of course, we will love our neighbors. And, you know, a lot of people say a whole lot of things about love, but we kind of know that love does. It's an action. It's one of the virtues that you can't keep. Now, you probably can keep your faith and you can keep hope, but God, you know we have to give love away. And God, there's a whole lot of people that need some love at this time. And I'm at the place that can give some love away. I'm at the people that make some decision for people that don't even feel like they can make decisions. People that ostracize, or people don't really even believe that we care about them. But God, we just ask you that our heart is touched and that we continue to show love with action. So again, I thank you, and again, I ask these county commissioners to remember the great commandment of loving and to love thy neighbors. And whatever we do, God, we need to remember that we need to do it together. It's just a whole lot going on now, and if we could pull it together, I think we can get out of this place where we are. So again, I thank you for this opportunity. I thank the people that are making decisions, and I hope that you touch hearts, you touch minds, and you touch our spirit, so that we can truly love our neighbors. In the precious name of Jesus the Christ, I ask it all. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor McLeod, for that. All right. I'm going to read our ethics statement. In accordance with the State Government Ethics Act, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearances of conflict. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to any matter coming before the board? If so, please identify the conflict and refrain from any undue participation in the particular matter involved. Are there any conflicts at this time? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So move. Second.
A motion by Commissioner Ellerby, second by Commissioner Mims. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, moving on to our consent agenda. There's two items listed under the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Mims, second by Commissioner Gatewood. Any discussion on those items? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, so we do have a change in our agenda tonight. Under our appearances, the Anson County Schools, Dr. Truman and Dr. Ratliff were to appear before us. There was a medical emergency with our superintendent, so he is not able to be with us tonight, so they have rescheduled for our April 1st meeting. So they'll be on the agenda for April 1st. So we're going to move on to our public addresses. So there shall be a time set aside at each regular meeting of the board for public comment. Each citizen who wishes to speak during this time must sign up on a sign-up sheet prior to the start of the meeting. Each citizen shall be allowed 3 minutes for their presentation. All citizens are expected to follow proper decorum and shall not use profanity nor defamatory speech. The public is expected to remain seated except when leaving the room. Only presenters listed on the agenda or recognized by the chairman will be called to the podium to address the board. Commissioners are expected not to comment on matters brought to the board during this time, but to delay action or comment until staff has had an opportunity to research the subject matter and to report necessary and relevant information to all members of the board. At this time, I'm going to call Vancine Sturdivant.
Good evening.
Evening.
We are back. To the board and to our chair, you said that we could come back and you would have an answer for us today concerning the property that I own on Old Liveville Road. Since then, Mr. Forbes, Attorney Forbes did reach out to me and asked me what figure would I accept, and we supposed to be meeting. But since then, I've had 2 of my elderly in the hospital, and I was not able to talk with him. But as I told him, what I'm asking for is the back tax that I paid. Garlita Pratt is not here. Commissioner Ross Street, I'm sorry, he's here with me. I think y'all had taken the paper up before he was able to sign to speak tonight. And Garlita's not present because, and keep in the prayer, her husband's been ill. And the maintenance, and Chairman Calder, you spoke on that, on how my son took care of that property, cause we thought it was ours. So we were the one over there doing the maintenance on it. Then after the Lord took him in 22, Harrington Lawn Services did it for 1 year. I had said 2, but it was 1. I found out, and I'm gonna be honest about anything, I found out in 2023 that that's when you guys were saying that I didn't own it, so we didn't go over and cut in 2023 and 2024. So I guess the town didn't either, the park and recreation, cause I go over there a lot, helping people, and it is grown up really bad. But that's what I'm back here for. And like I said, we're gonna be transparent about it, and I just want to be treated right. I want to be fairly done. And I've only used 1 minute, and not even a minute. I'm gonna ask Commissioner Ross Street if he would come up at this time. And I'm gonna do right back the time too.
Thank you, ma'am.
My pastor's here with me. I'm gonna act right. For real. A little bit. I'm gonna do right. Y'all read my shirt.
But I think if y'all look back in the minutes, it either was December, November or December, you'll see where the board did take action on that property. Jarvis, you was here. Mr. Gateway, you was here.
You were the county manager.
You was the county manager.
Mm-hmm.
But we did take action on that property. It was brought to us after Joe Dudden did the sales. But it was brought back to us for approval, and we did approve it. But if you can find those minutes, it'll be in those minutes.
That was in 2013. Do you remember?
What year was it?
2012, I believe.
2012.
12, I think. 12, 13. Robert, that's been a long time.
Oh, and the ball.
Okay.
But it was in 2012. What happened, Commissioner Mills? Whenever I voted, bidded on it. Like I said, I bidded on 4, I got 3. Some people called, at least that's what I was told, that some folk called, then, I wish you were here, Attorney Forbes, and said that they didn't feel that was correct, me bidding on property, and I was a county commissioner. At the October meeting, Anna Balcom was the chair, Ross was the vice chair. I was asked to bring the paperwork, the receipts, everything. At the November meeting, I brought the stuff to him, and it was a unanimous vote that the property was mine.
That is correct.
Do you remember that, Mr. Woodburn?
According to our attorney, who you've been in conversation with, that we found the minutes where that was voted on and approved.
Yeah.
Just because this board votes to give you something or sell you something that we don't own, we don't have the authority to do that.
Now that's where the problem come in.
That's correct. You've been in conversation with our attorney on how to remedy this situation. Our attorney is waiting on your figure that you say we owe you, and as soon as he gets that figure, he'll begin negotiating back with you again on what numbers you want. We don't know how much you want because you haven't provided the numbers.
This is what he had said, that you was willing to pay the back tax and the taxes that I paid. I said, well, what about the maintenance? I said, because just like you paid the parking rent to clean it when you thought it was yours, why you shouldn't pay my child, me? It was our material, our gas, oil, everything.
I understand. Do you have those figures?
No, I just...
So how can I pay you if you don't have the figure that I owe you?
You know what? I'm gonna act good.
Well, we're waiting on the figures.
Some tell me I'm finna go to Peter.
We're waiting on the figures that we owe you. We don't know how much we owe you.
Oh, okay.
So get the figures to our attorney.
This is my question. Are you willing to pay for the maintenance on it? He was...
I'm not giving a blank check. No, ma'am, I'm not.
I didn't ask you for no blank check.
You are, because you're asking me to pay you for something that I have no idea how much it is. So get the figures, get them to our attorney, and then we will proceed with the negotiations.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Do you prefer to be reimbursed, or since you found the minutes, do you prefer to attain the property?
I prefer to be reimbursed.
Okay.
If the figure is correctly, because I'm tired of it. And my kids are not going through this sorry mess. Transparency.
Once we have those figures, we'll resume the conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Michelle Brock with South Piedmont.
Thank you. Good evening.
Evening.
Good evening.
Wanted to take just a moment and advertise the fact that South Piedmont Community College is having our first ever Saturday open house on April the 5th. This will be from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. We will have help on hand to complete the FAFSA, which is the free application of federal student aid. We will have the opportunity to tour campus, our LLP campus. We'll have bouncy houses and free food, first come, first serve. And this is being done in conjunction with the Anson County Partnership for Children. They are having their first ever Touch a Truck event on that Polkton campus as well. And so we're hoping that that will bring a crowd out, but we would love to see a large crowd at our open house on April the 5th. So just wanted to let you know.
Okay. Thank you for that. So Saturday, April 5th, the open house at South Piedmont Community College in Polkton.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have Terry Hayams, I believe.
I just want to say it's a pleasure to be back with y'all again. Not a pleasure, but it's I brought issue a couple meetings ago about these dogs in Wadesboro, and I spoke with Commissioner Jarvis just a few minutes ago. This issue with dogs has got to be corrected. I went to Mr. Wiley, the city manager. I called him outside a couple of days ago. I asked him about this dog situation, and he said, Mr. Hayams, it falls completely on the county as responsible for these dogs. Now, the county is going to have to get an agreement with the city. Somebody's going to have to do something, or I don't want to get the state involved in it. But if y'all don't work a resolution, I'm going to have to call North Carolina, because I'm not going to deal with these dogs any longer. So the county has to do a statement to the city, and y'all have to work out something, because I'm just not going to deal with it. I've been fighting cancer for almost 8 years now. The Lord has kept me here for a purpose. I guess to stay with all y'all, I don't know. But anyway, the fact of the matter is, I'm thankful to be here. As I was telling the commissioner, I'm thankful for 8 years of knowing Mr. Gatewood. I'm thankful for 9 years almost knowing everybody. But I do want a resolution about these dogs because they're terrorizing our neighborhood. And I can't even walk out of my house and my wife without getting threatened dog bit. And I hate to use the measure of shotgun, but it's going to come to that I'm going to have to lay some dogs on the ground. And it might come to that. So I just told the city to be aware if they hear a loud boom, boom. It's me out there shooting my shotgun. So I'm not going to deal with it no longer. I don't have the patience to deal with it. And some dog is going to get shot if there's not a resolution. Mr. Jarvis, did you have anything I'd like to ask you? Would you like to comment on that?
Well, like I told you, I think, and I don't know, I have to get with the county manager, but I believe the animal shelters, didn't we just get to full staff, or did we? I know there was some openings there.
We're not at full staff, but I have had our attorney, Mr. Forbes, he's not here, to send a letter to the town attorney, Mr. Bates. He did it today because Scott Forbes, our attorney, has researched state law, as I have. The town has a leash law. They need to enforce it. I have talked to Wiley Ross myself. Matter of fact, Councilman Snuggs was in that meeting a while back over at the EOC. And so Mr. Ross knows full well that they have one. Now all they have to do, because we've told them the county's responsibility is to operate the shelter, which we do. If the town will pick up those dogs that are loose and running inside the city limits, then they can take them straight to the shelter and we'll house them.
Well, I called Mr. Wiley outside 2 days ago and I spoke to him, and he reverted me and said, Mr. Helms, we are not responsible for those dogs. You got to go back to the county. I said, well, give them a contract. One of y'all give each other a contract or something.
We don't have to have a contract. We have a law. As a matter of fact, in the last couple months, some 50 calls came in to us through our 911. 31 of them were within the town limits of Wadesboro. The rest of the county at large, Ansonville, Burnsville, Lylesville, etc., only had 19. So in my opinion, which is state law, the town needs to enforce this leash law.
Well, I just don't know why it can't be taken over by the sheriff's department. I know you spoke to you about Sheriff Powell didn't want to take the job, but I feel like Eddie Cathy takes on the responsibility of the dogs down there. Why shouldn't Anson County Sheriff's Department take care of the dogs up here?
Because
he's taking care of those dogs down there.
There's 100 counties in this state. Each one of them has a sheriff. They're all elected by the people of the county. And if he doesn't want to take it over, he doesn't work for me. I can't make him take it over.
So, Mr. Helms,
you've asked me this at least twice before.
Yes.
And I've told you the same story every time. I'm not lying. I'm being totally honest. That is the fact.
The general statute does not state that we must take over animal control in the town limits.
Well,
that is directly the Wadesboro town ordinance that states they will provide animal control according to their ordinance that they wrote. That's where your issue's at with the town of Wadesboro.
Yeah, but Mr. Jamie, you know, Union County don't have a problem.
Mr. Helms, this is not Union County. This is
Monroe
Anson County.
City has their own animal control
and they have
that they maintain with Monroe City.
I understand. And this is Anson County, and this is the town of Wadesboro. This is not Union or Mecklenburg or Wake County or any other county with all the resources they have. We're in Anson County and the town of Wadesboro. So your issue is with the town of Wadesboro. So I ask that you address the board of the town of Wadesboro council members.
Well, I just don't understand why counties can't follow suit with one, or have a documentary where they have to follow suit with one another. In other words, if it's suit for them to do it down there, it should be suit for you.
They have their documentation that they will do it in the town of Wadesboro, and they're not doing it. That's where your issue's at. So,
I just don't see no other way out.
Okay. Well,
how many dogs outside your house, Mr. Helms?
We got 2 dog controls up here. They probably got 25.
We don't have any dog controls, Mr. Helms. We don't have an animal control officer now.
Well, how come the county couldn't fund that and get some dog control?
We have a vacancy in that job opening. We have a vacancy in that opening. We do not have it currently staffed.
Well, put me in it. I'll carry a gun. Put me in it. I'll carry a gun.
All right. Thank you for your comment.
But listen, thank you, Mr. Gatewood. It's been a long journey, 8 years. I've been watching Mr. Gatewood. He has a journey of longevity, and I appreciate y'all praying for me during my cancer episode.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know what holds tomorrow, but I do know I'm very persistent, and I'm just like, I'll be back.
Okay.
I'll be back for another quorum on this, but I wish the county would do something about it.
Okay. We have addressed the town of Wadesboro through a letter from our attorney as of today, matter of fact.
Because I don't know whether state regulates it or not, but, you know.
I understand. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right.
Appreciate your time. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Next,
Thank
we
you.
have Mr. Thaddeus Spencer.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Sort of hard for me to be here to hear some of the stuff that y'all talk about. Did it for 31 years, and then hear y'all talk about the town of Wadesboro. Just woo! No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Yeah, you do say. But my name's Thaddeus Spencer, and I know you all are talking the thing about Miss Vancine Steadman, and I was supposed to speak at the last meeting, but something came up. And she reached out to me about it, and for what I know about it, as the chief of police there, we was always told that land was not the town of Wadesboro. And the incident that happened was they was playing football there. It was on Saturday and Sundays. I mean, it was a large crowd, so we were getting calls about it. And at that time, I thought it was the town of Wadesboro. And we were sending officers there, and the officers was told by several people that they had permission to be on the property. Well, you know, they come back to me, and I had one of my sergeants was love kids. He advocated for them kids to continue to play football there, but it was just traffic there all the time. So met with the town manager at that time with Mr. Sewell, and when I was explaining to that at that time, it was Miss Vancine. It was not the town of Wadesboro property. We couldn't enforce people being on the property, but then we was enforcing the traffic. So it was still becoming a problem. So I reached out to Miss Vancine Steadman, and I told her, I said, well, listen, this is what's going on. We're getting several calls there, and the liability will fall upon you if something happened. I mean, there was a large crowd there. So I knew about that, and that was told at that time that was the Miss Vancine Steadman property. We couldn't enforce it. The second incident was that we was getting calls again about the trash that was going backing in and out of the place. There were people throwing trash. Well, you know, I got a call from the housing authority about that. So Mr. Hugh James met with me and said, well, that's not our property. But when we went to go check, the trash was on the right side of the road, and the left side of the road was always nice and cut and clean. So I had to meet with the housing authority and tell them that, you know, that was back with the town, but the property on the left was not ours. And the third time I had to deal with the property, knowing that when Mr. Studham was, well, when we got ready to put up the flock cameras, the engineers came out, and you know, because we had to make sure where the cameras went that they was not on someone's property. If they did, we had to get permission from the owner. Well, Mr. Hugh James met me there, and we sat there and had it measured off, and we knew how much of the property we could use. And Mr. Hugh James told me at that time that was, you know, we could put it there, but we couldn't put it no further over onto her property. So them the incidents that I had at that time, just being told the property didn't belong to the town of Wadesboro. But I know they did keep the property up. I mean, because it was always clean there. We even reached out to, Mr. Studham reached out and asked, could the town help, you know, with trash cans and, you know, help out being down there on the property and making sure the kids were safe. And I did have some officers that wanted to do it. But it was a liability for the police department. So I just wanted to be able to, you know, express that to the town, and I appreciate y'all's time.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, I think the last name scratched out. So that concludes our public addresses to the board. So this time we'll move on to our appointments. We have a couple different appointments tonight. We have 2 appointments for the Board of Health. So I'll entertain a motion to appoint Mr. Aaron Shaver as a member of the Board of Health in the pharmacist position, and then a motion, it can be one motion to appoint Mr. Rodney Hyatt as a member to the Board of Health in general public position. So 2 appointments, Aaron Shaver and Rodney Hyatt.
I make a motion to appoint Aaron Shaver to the Board of, you said Health?
Board of Health.
And Rodney Hyde to the Board of Health as well?
Yes, both the same
Yeah,
thing.
both to the same Board of Health.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Ellerby to appoint Aaron Shaver and Rodney Hyatt to the Board of Health. We have a second by Commissioner Gatewood. Any discussion on that? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, and then next up we have another appointment for the South Piedmont Community College Board of Trustees. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to appoint Mr. Ashley Carter to the South Piedmont Community College Board of Trustees for a 4-year term.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Mims, second by Commissioner Gatewood. Any discussion on that? I will note, as you can see in your notes, that Mr. Carter is already a serving member on that board. This is just to reappoint him for a 4-year term, and he was appointed to fill a term, I believe.
Correct.
Priorly. So, okay. Any all in favor of that appointment? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right. Next, we'll get down to our manager's report.
I have 3 items if I may tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
First one is something that's been discussed a couple times, and I had a meeting earlier today with Dr. Truman when I found out that Dr. Ratliff couldn't make the meeting tonight. But Dr. Truman had Ann Hyatt, who is, I guess, the administrative assistant or executive assistant for the superintendent, and she sent me an email that says that Lisa Davis moved to dispose of the property at the Faison School and give it back to the county commissioners so that the county commissioners could dispose of it. Mr. Frank Lyles seconded that motion, and it was approved by the board. So he says he doesn't understand what the attorneys are doing, but he says right now they have voted to give the property back to the schools, from the school to the county, so the county can dispose of it.
Yes.
So I guess what needs to happen now is if the county is interested in taking the property, we need to, or you will need to direct our attorney to work with the school board attorney, Mr. Flake, and consummate the deal.
Yes, I believe we have a.
That's already been done.
Yeah, we have a motion that's already been approved to accept the property and sell it.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
That's what my statement was last meeting.
Right.
I was trying to figure out where was all this other stuff coming from.
Right.
So yeah, so they can just go ahead and do it. We've already taken
Good.
care of it.
I'll inform Mr. Forbes tomorrow.
Okay. I would like to say just thank you to the school board, to the superintendent for getting that done, for offering that property back to the county. And as Commissioner Ellerby's motion stated, that we are going to sell the property at public auction. The county has no desire to keep it, so it will be coming up for sale soon.
And the next one is at a previous meeting, I believe it was the last meeting, there was a motion made because there was a presentation to this board about fireworks display. And I don't think you need to take any other action. I think it was a $5,000 donation to the Uptown Wadesboro, which is a private nonprofit entity. And I think there's been some discussion that from a legal perspective, the county can't forward it to that entity. However, what it could do is channel it through the Tourism Development Authority. And the county already works with them and provides them support each year. This would be an additional support to them, and then they can give it to it if you would like to do that. Just trying to clean up something because there's been several questions brought up about it.
Yes.
I think that's the way it was done in the past, to the Tourism Development Authority.
Right.
Because that's the
motion
county.
was to give it to Uptown Wadesboro,
Yes.
not the TDA. So I think if you changed that motion and did it to the TDA, then it would still go to the fireworks.
Right.
My motion was actually just to pay for it, so I guess.
Would you like to clarify your motion to restate your motion to channel it through the TDA, Tourism Development Authority?
I make that motion to pay the 50% of the fireworks through the TDA.
Okay.
I thought it was $5,000.
I think it was 5,000, which was
my motion was 50%.
It's
Okay.
$5,000. I think it's what we were gonna pay, whatever. That's
The
half,
motion
and
was to pay 50%. If they come back and it's $9,000, we'll pay 4,500.
right.
She said roughly it was about 10,000. So we don't.
Oh, so it wasn't inside. Okay,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, she thought it was about that. I just made a motion to do 50%. That's what my motion was. So I'll just amend my motion to keep it at 50%, but to make the payment through the TDA. I mean, that's no problem.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Ellerby to direct the 50% of the fireworks show through the TDA or Tourism Development Authority that was presented by the Uptown Wadesboro organization. We have a second by Commissioner Woodburn. Is there any other discussion on that?
Mr. Chairman, is there a cap on what we will donate toward this venture? I mean, what if the bill comes back at $20,000? All of a sudden, we're on the line for 10.
Yes, sir. If we would like to cap that, now's the time to do that.
I'd like to recommend we cap it.
That was my question about the $5,000.
I'd be some kind of fireworks show to be $20,000 in Wadesboro.
Well, $10,000 is a lot of money to
Yeah.
blow up in 10 minutes.
Well, it ain't my money. It's the people that vote and live here. So that's what they want to do. I don't mind helping them do it. That's why I came up here.
Well, there's a little while. There's a little while before it comes off. Let's have the county manager look back and just look at the last 3 to 5 years and see what it's averaged, and then we'll go from there. We can settle it at our next meeting.
She told us $10,000, so we can cap it at $5,000, and we can handle it right now.
We can do that too. Yeah.
So if she said 10,000, cap it at 5,000.
Okay. So you want to amend the motion to cap it at 5,000 or 50%?
Yes.
Okay.
And technically, we didn't have to take it through the TDA because North Carolina general statutes allow us to invest in community events. Because this came up after the fact, we could either channel it right. We can make the payment directly to the people doing the fireworks, or we can give it to the town of Wadesboro because they are supporting it as well.
Mr. Chairman, I second the motion.
Okay. So have a motion for 50% up to $5,000 for the fireworks show. We have a second by Commissioner Gatewood. Any other discussion on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
I have one other item, and then any questions that the board may have, but this is something that's come up a couple of times recently. It goes back a while. It's concerning the flea market. And if I may, I'll read a statement that the county attorney sent to me earlier today concerning it. He says that the law, as he understands it, is under Section 160D-108D, statutory vested property rights last, quote, so long as the permit remains valid under the law, end quote. If the work authorized by the permit has not substantially commenced within 1 year of issuance, the vested property rights will expire. Frankly, there is a time limit for starting the development project within the first year of obtaining the permit, and if there is a significant delay, the vested rights may be lost, but that is not relevant to this scenario, meaning they have commenced work and has done a significant amount. Once work on the project substantially commences, the property rights granted in the permit have been awarded and will continue to be protected as long as the license remains valid. It is important to note that even with the vesting, the statutory vested property rights can still expire if the development project remains uncompleted and if the development work is intentionally and voluntarily discontinued for not less than 24 consecutive months. And he says the work is continued even though they have changed ownership, which is our understanding, from the Diaz family to another one. But he says that their permits and rights are still valid and they can continue with their process.
They can continue construction, whatever they're doing there,
And opening.
But have they provided the documentation, the plans that has our inspectors signed off on the plans that they've made changes there?
They have their construction permits and everything. What they don't have at this point in time is their certificate of occupancy. So they'll have to complete the actual work, and then it'll have to be inspected by our inspectors, both the fire marshal's office as well as the building inspector's office.
Yes, and it's been brought to my attention that they have changed basically the layout of the facility since the inspector first looked at it. So that will be noted in the final inspection, and if it does not meet the code, they cannot open it till it's corrected.
That would be correct, yes.
Okay. So
Well, I hope that answers some questions.
it answers mine, yes. Any other questions on that?
Has there been any remarks remarks back from the state as far as the expected traffic on that roadway?
The state has informed me a couple of times, and I've asked if they don't do the study, that the property owners would have to do the study if they deemed it necessary, and so far the state has not required them from a necessity standpoint to do so.
Yeah.
And I also got the same man. This is from Mr. Forbes, and I got a very similar answer from our planning director when he researched it from a planning perspective and permitting.
Yes. So, yes, their vested rights continue even though the change in ownership.
Right.
But they still have to meet the building code as what was described early on in the plan.
Right.
And if that plan changes, the inspection is going to find that, and they will correct it before they're issued a CO.
That's correct.
Yes. So, okay. Any other questions on the flea market? All right.
That's the only three I have, and I'll be glad to answer any other questions.
Okay. Any other items for the manager? Okay.
Do you have an update? I know we just talked about it as far as those vacancies for animal control.
We're advertising. I don't know. I think we've had one or two applicants so far, and as of earlier today.
I've been asking around, trying to find somebody.
It's difficult to hire. Right now, it's difficult to hire about any position. People just don't apply, and then when they apply, and you set up interviews, they don't show up.
Yep.
And if I remember right, I have backup on what I said. I think we had somebody hired and then they decided not to come to work. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Sir. All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anything else for the manager? All right. Hearing none, we'll move on to the chairman's report. I just have one announcement. I've announced this earlier, but I'm going to remind you, the South Piedmont Community College Board of Trustees dinner will be held on Tuesday, April the 8th at 6 p.m. at the Polkton Depot. If you will, please let Madam Clerk know if you're planning to attend as soon as possible so she can notify South Piedmont. Again, that's April 8th at 6 p.m. at the Polkton Depot. That is all I have for the chairman's report. So we'll move on to any commissioner concerns or comments. All right, y'all are quiet tonight. So, hearing none, we do have a need for closed session to discuss some contract negotiations as well as personnel items. So I will entertain a motion to enter into closed session at this time. Motion by Commissioner Ellaby, second by Commissioner Leary. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
That was the last time I
All right, we're now back in open session, so I'll entertain a motion to exit.
I make a motion to come out of closed session.
Second.
We have a motion to come out of closed session, second by Commissioner Gatewood and Commissioner Little Reed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, is there any other business we need to conduct tonight?
I'd like to make a motion that we create the grants administration position and that department and adopt the job description that's been laid out by our HR director.
I second it.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Ellaby to create a grant administration department following the job description that's been provided by our HR department. We have a second by Commissioner Little Reed. Is there any discussion on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
Have one opposed. 6-1. Okay. Motion carries. All right. So, Mr. Manager, we ask that you conduct that accordingly.
All right, since we'll go ahead and post that position as quickly as possible.
I can't see Miss Ingram. She sat down there. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Any other business to conduct tonight? Hearing.
Ingram sent us an excellent list of areas where we were operating outside of the personnel ordinance. I don't know if tonight is the time to discuss that, but at some point in time, I'd like for her to go through that list and let us have some discussion around it.
I agree. I'd like to hear those too.
Yes, sir. I think we should. I think it would probably be our best interest to have our attorney present when we discuss those issues as how to move forward. So if we can set that for a later date while he's in attendance.
I'd like to make a motion that we give her an appearance April 1st meeting.
Okay. So we have I don't know if we need a motion for that, but
Okay.
we will arrange that.
I'd like for her to be here. Just make an appearance for us and give us an outline of those.
We'll get her on the agenda for the appearance. So.
We gotta go in closed session.
I don't know if it has to. I don't know. It may be preferred to. I'm not certain.
That's why I want to discuss with our county attorney how to best move forward with it.
You being HR director, you can report to this board, from my understanding. But
we'll conduct it accordingly to the attorney's advice. So, any other business to conduct? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Have a motion by Commissioner Gatewood, second by Commissioner Little Reed and Commissioner Ellerby. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Man, we got up early tonight.
Very definitely. It's about time.